Hi, and welcome back to PracticalStudent.com. Continuing on with the 1997 table lamp project. Today we're going to deal with parts 5, 6 and 7, the lathe pieces. We have a little brass bushing. I have some 20mm brass here and a 6mm drill bit. The outside diameter of part number 6 is 12, but the closest I have is 16mm, and I'll also need an M6 die to do this section here. And finally then we have the nylon bulb holder. So this is the actual bulb holder, and that's going to be attached to this piece. 40mm nylon is what I have, and I'll need two drill bits, the 3 and 3.5. These two outside holes will have to line up with these two holes, and we'll deal with that at the time. Everything else should be okay. So I'll have timestamps in for the different ones, the different parts. And let's get started. We'll do them in order. Start with part number 5. Okay, so this is part number 5 on the lathe. This is the working drawing for it. It's a thin piece, so we're going to start on this side, manufacture this side first, drill the hole through, cut it off, and then turn it around so that this thin bit is held in the chuck and face off the end and put the chamfer on it. All of the drawings, as usual, are linked in the description. So firstly, I'm going to face off the end of the bar. So the whole distance is 6.5. This section here is 3mm, and that means that that bit there is 3.5. I'm going to use the bluing on the lathe that I've already done and the odd lathe calipers to set these distances. So the first distance I want to set is 6.5mm. Now that I've done the 6.5mm, I'm going to set it to 3mm to give me this last little bit here. Sorry, I'm going to set it to 3.5 because this bit is 3 and this is the bit I want. So I'm going to zero the lathe by touching the cutting tool off the lathe of the piece as it's spinning, and then adjusting the hand dial to 0. So I now know that the lathe point is on the outside diameter. I have to bring down this first section to 12mm, so I need to take 8 off, and I can use the hand dial to tell me exactly how far I've gone. so that's the first section done. I now want to drill a hole through the middle here, 6 millimeters. Anytime you want to drill on the lathe, you should always use a center drill first of all and start off your hole. So bring that up, clamp it in place and just start the hole. We can now insert our 6 millimeter drill bit, and the piece is 6.5 millimeters deep, so we want to drill about anything over that, so we'll say 10 millimeters for here, and I'm going to use the graduations on the barrel of the tailstock to tell me when I've got in 10. Right, so that's the front section done. I'm now going to part this off by changing the cutting tool. This is a quick change tool process, nice and quick. And I'm just going to part off behind that line, or to the left of that line. And that is part number 5 completed. It just needs to be tidied up with a little bit of emery paper to get rid of the glue and a bit of polishing, and it's done. So this is part number 6, the swivel or pivot. It goes here and the hood can swivel on it and it holds the whole thing on. It's a complicated enough piece to make. You can see what it looks like finished here. So what we're going to do on the lathe is face off the end first of all, put blue on a good section of it, and then mark the different distances. The line here, which is 12 millimeters in from the end. We're going to mark in this line here, which is 12 plus 15, which is a total of 27. And then the whole thing is 35 millimeters plus the radius here, 641. Now I did forget to mention at the start, this bar is actually 16 millimeters in diameter, and we have to have 12, so I'm going to have to take 4 millimeters off the diameter before I mark off or put the blue and mark those lines on it. On the lathe we will be able to make this section down to 6 millimeters in diameter and thread it, and after that we have to move to the milling machine, which will be more about that later. sticking out. I've faced off the end. I'm just going to mark 41 from the end here and then bring the bar down to 12 millimeters. It's currently 16. I'm going to touch the tip off the bar first of all, just so as I can zero the end. So mark 41 down. And now zeroing the Okay, so this is at 0 on the surface here. I'm going to take 6 millimeters off up to this first line, then chamfer it and thread it with an M6 tap, or die, sorry. Okay, we're going to use the parting tool just to take off this section now. Going to go right up against the line. And I'm just going to face off the end of this bar now, just to get it to the correct length. Right, so now we want to do this section down here. I'm going to do this in the milling machine. I made a little jig. It has a 12mm hole in it and a slot cut, so when I clamp on it, it holds it tight. It'll allow me to flip it and turn it 180 degrees. Yes. And get a parallel side. So what we have to do here is we have to leave a center piece that's 5mm thick, and the whole thing is 12. So if we take 5 from 12, we get 7, and 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. So this section here is 3.5, and this is 3.5. So what I'm going to do is bring the milling cutter down and just touch the top. Then bring the height down, or zero the height, bring the height down 3.5mm, and take a cut up to the line, which I can see here. And then I'm going to flip it over and reset the height, and take off another 3.5mm. Okay, so now we need to find the centre for this hole to drill it and the curve here as well. So I have our part here and I have 6mm set on the dividers already. So I'm going to measure 6mm from the end. So that should be about there, and I'm going to draw a line. And then I want 6mm from the edge of the curve. So I have to use my eye looking down to get where that would be accurately. So it's about 0.5 millimetre past this edge here. And that gives us the 6mm in. And if I look at that, it looks pretty central. Now I've tightened this very tight in the vise so that I can punch this without too much slipping. So now I should be able to drill the hole there. But before I do that, and I nearly forgot, I must draw a semicircle. I'm going to put it back into the vise and as accurately and as carefully as possible try and draw a semicircle. So I have my dividers set to 6. So it goes slightly inaccurately. I'm going to double check my measurement. Yeah, that's 6mm. So when I'm filing this, I'll be able to get this into a nice curve. Okay, time to drill. Okay, so I've got our piece in the vise now. I have ensured that this section is horizontal, and because I want to be as accurate as possible, I'm actually going to use a centre drill first to locate the hole and drill most of the way through, if not all the way through. I'm going to line this up carefully. I find it's easier than with the big drill bit. And once we're done, we get drilling. Okay, so now we're marking out the bulb holder. It's this piece here. I'm going to make this out of black nylon. So we have to face off the bar. The bar that I have here is a 40mm diameter nylon bar, but this is supposed to be 30, as you should be able to see about here. So to bring it down 10mm in diameter, we'll have to drill a 3mm hole through the centre, and then we'll part it off at 8mm after chamfering the edge. The 2 holes then we'll drill later on. Now I'm going to be using a high-speed steel cutting tool for this project as opposed to the usual carbide insert tool which I normally use. I think the rounded corner on these carbide inserts provides a poor result on this type of nylon, whereas the sharp point here provides a better finish. Still have to go slow, and I'll still have to use a carbide insert parting off tool, so hopefully it won't go too bad, but it will have to be slow turning or slow revs on the lathe. So face off, make the bar the right diameter, centre drill with a 3mm, and then part off. set up the parting off tool, and I'm going to lower the speed down to a very slow speed, but hopefully it will prevent any melting going on of the material. To set up the parting off tool the correct distance, I'm going to use my ruler here and set up 8 millimeters from the edge, and then cut off that section. Okay, so that seems to have heated up the material a bit as it was cutting. It doesn't absorb heat very well, and it can't go much slower. I'm just going to put this in now. I'm going to clean this off with a file and emery paper. I don't want to do any more lathe work on it. The last 2 holes we're going to drill in the next video. I think that's it then for the lathe work. I don't think there's any more with the 3 pieces done, so I'll see you in the next video for the filing and shaping of the parts and getting everything into assembly order.